Hello, and welcome to the 6th Annual Top 20 Banquet for Center Grove High School. Before I offer a few comments, I would like to thank Indris and Hauser for sponsoring the cakes that were delivered to our students' homes, as well as the Center Grove Education Foundation for sponsoring the award plaques for this event. I'd like to recognize members of the district administrative staff at this time, along with school board members. Dr. Rich Arkanoff, Superintendent, Dr. Bill Long, Mrs. Nora Hoover, and Mr. Jason Taylor, Assistant Superintendents, and Dr. Paul Gabriel, Chief Financial Officer. Center Grove School Board members, Mr. Rob Daniels, President, Mr. Jack Russell, Vice President, Mr. Joe Hubbard, Secretary, Mr. Scott Alexander, Board Member, and Mrs. Carol Toomey, Board Member. Additionally, I'd like to recognize the assistant principals from Center Grove High School, Mrs. Tricia Ferguson, Mrs. Tracy McMahon, Mrs. Jennifer Perkins, and Mr. Jake Short. They will all be introducing our top 20 this evening. Finally, I'd like to extend a special thank you to my administrative assistant, Mrs. Maria Seasting, and our executive director of communications, Mrs. Stacy Conrad, for all their hard work in preparing this virtual program. Thank you also to all of you for taking time to log on and tune into this event as we honor these phenomenal young adults in a very non-traditional and less preferred way. The ending of the 1920 school year is unlike anything we've ever seen before, and many of the traditions and special events that we look forward to all year have been canceled or forced into an alternative format. While not ideal, we could not possibly allow this special event to simply be canceled. We wanted to do our very best to come together to celebrate the success these students have had, not just over the last 4 years, but throughout their young lives. Parents, thank you for all the love, dedication, and opportunities that you provided to your students, some even prior to them being born. Whether it was playing classical music for them to hear while they were still in the womb, reading to them as babies and toddlers, taking them to museums and zoos, or providing athletic, dance, or music lessons to them, your dedication to providing the best opportunities for them to find success as they grew have all helped lead them here. To our invited teachers, you have clearly had a significant impact on the lives of the 20 students we are celebrating tonight. However, we also know that throughout your careers, you have been able to impact countless other lives in positive ways as well. I want to take a moment to honor you for the selflessness you display every day in your chosen profession. You constantly give of your time and talents and share your love with children who are not yours, all to better our society and our world. That takes a special kind of person. I truly believe that being an educator is the most noble profession anyone could pursue. Students, to have earned the cumulative grade point average that afforded you the honor of being among the top 20 students in your graduating class is no small feat. Together, you have an average grade point average of 4.670. You have taken 361 semesters of AP classes and 37 semesters of dual credit classes, resulting in 678 college credit hours. It goes without saying that you had to sacrifice many things along the way in order to be here tonight. The habits you have established will serve as an excellent foundation for your next steps. To watch the news, one would think that our educational system in this country is in shambles and teenagers lack the purpose, motivation, and conviction necessary to have a positive impact. Clearly, those who create the news don't spend every day working with students. I see brilliant minds, caring hearts, and willing servants who are well on their way to making remarkable contributions to our world. I want to challenge you to continue to make the most of your educational opportunities. Take the time to thank those who have helped shape you into the remarkable young adults you are. Your parents, teachers, relatives, or friends who have supported you along the way have demonstrated their care for you in thoughts and actions. Finally, please keep in touch with us. Come back and visit us. Keep us informed about all the great things you will be involved with and accomplish throughout your lives. And now, let's meet these remarkable young adults.
Now we come to the best part of our evening, the top 20 addresses. We know the success that these students have achieved was not accomplished alone, and now they have the opportunity to talk a little about the people who surround them this evening and who have helped them along the way. Our first member of the top 20 to speak is Elizabeth Anderson. She is the daughter of Kathy and Jeff Anderson. She invited Mrs. Andrea McCoy from Middle School Central and Mrs. Heidi Shackelford from the High School Art Department as her honored teachers. She loves going to semi-state with her soccer team her junior year as a highlight of her high school career. Miss Elizabeth Anderson.
My name is Elizabeth Anderson, and I will be attending Purdue University next fall to study biochemistry with the ultimate goal of either going to graduate school or medical school. First and foremost, I would like to thank my parents for everything that they have done for me throughout my academic career. They've always been there to challenge me to be my best and help me when I was overwhelmed or frustrated with an assignment, which is definitely more times than I can count. But above all of that, I want to thank you, Mom and Dad, for ensuring that I was still a kid throughout my childhood, despite all the rigorous schoolwork that I chose to take on. Even if that meant not taking part in the EL classes for 4th and 5th grade. Both of you have shaped me into the hardworking, stubborn, and analytical student that I am, and for that I am grateful, because it has allowed me to achieve my academic goals in high school. Next, I'd like to thank all the wonderful teachers that I have had throughout my entire time at Center Grove. From kindergarten all the way through senior year, I have gone to CG schools, and it has truly been a blessing in my life. I was able to receive an incredible education, participate in top-level athletics, and I've had the privilege of learning from some of the most brilliant, kind, and wise teachers. While each of the teachers I've had at CG has played an important role in the making of the student and person that I have become, I would like to specifically thank the following teachers. My Spanish teachers, Mr. Gaff and Mr. Riley, for introducing me to the language and for inspiring me to become bilingual one day. My amazing English teachers, Mrs. Schwartz, Ms. Schmidt, and Mr. Lawson, for improving my writing, teaching me life lessons, and for showing me how to become a deeper thinker. My incredible science teachers, Mrs. Milligan, Mr. Warner, Mrs. Tevan, and Mr. Komanowski, who all allowed me to discover my love and passion for science, and for challenging me to grow beyond what I thought I was capable of. Lastly, I would like to thank the teachers who I chose to recognize here tonight, Mrs. McCoy and Mrs. Shackelford. Both of them have taught me invaluable lessons about being a genuinely kind and caring person in this world. Mrs. McCoy was my 8th grade honors biology teacher, and she not only played an important role in developing an integral part of developing my love and passion for science, but her radiant and cheerful outlook on life inspired me to be a kinder, more positive person. She always has a smile on her face and is willing to help anyone who enters her classroom. She's patient, caring, and an amazing teacher and never runs out of energy. I'd like to thank her for simply being her incredible self and for introducing me to the field of science, which I ultimately plan to study in college. As for Mrs. Shackelford, though I never had her as a teacher, she's been my star teacher for all 4 years of high school. Every day she went above and beyond for all of her students, or her starlets, as she likes to call us, which is something she never really had to do. She, too, always has a smile on her face, and her kind and caring personality fills any room she enters. Mrs. Shackelford always takes the time to be invested in her star students' lives, whether it be with school, sports, our future plans, extracurricular activities, or any of the little stresses that high schoolers experience. She goes out of her way to give us encouragement and life lessons that we all need to hear, and I would like to thank her for that. Each of these teachers have influenced the person and student that I am today. I know I will carry their lessons with me for the rest of my life. So thank you to each and every one of you, of my wonderful teachers, for all that you have taught me throughout my time at CG. I'm truly grateful for all that you have done for me. As my time at CG comes to a bittersweet end, I would like to give one last big thank you to my teachers, my family, and my friends for going on this crazy journey with me. Thank you.
Vinay Potty joins us this evening as the next member of the top 20 to speak. Vinay's honored guests are his parents, Vidya Sundaram and Rayo Potty, Dr. Dan Whistler, formerly of Middle School Central Orchestra, and Mr. Andy Komanowski from the High School Science Department. Vinay's best high school memories include freshman and sophomore star parties, where he kicked back with Matthew Blankenship over some Chicago's pieces provided by Hallie Brewer, and company. Vinay Potty.
Mr. Komnowski is one of my favorite mad scientists, right behind Plankton from SpongeBob SquarePants. From the very first day, Mr. Komnowski was already a madman. He said we would be allowed to choose our seats and keep them for the rest of the year. As it happened, Casey Smith, Cooper Livermore, Ben Johnson, and I all ended up sitting right next to each other. Now I'm sure Mr. Komnowski realized his mistake when us four broke into song singing The Lion Sleeps Tonight from The Lion King at almost every opportunity we got. It was a rowdy AP chemistry class, to say the least. But when we weren't busy annoying the class with our tone-deaf singing, playing Super Smash Bros, or any other miscellaneous goofing off, I was captivated by Mr. Komnowski's remarkable teaching style. Mr. Komnowski very quickly made it apparent that he wasn't just a teacher for the salary or because it was an easy option. Mr. Komnowski pursued teaching out of a passion to change the lives of students who had never liked school, who had never been supported by any other teacher. In fact, only once did I see Mr. Komnowski get mad or frustrated at a student. However, that was because the student had broken one of Mr. Komnowski's few rules: never go behind the desk. In every other instant, Mr. Komnowski was individually helping any student that was confused. Or he was lecturing us from presentations he carefully constructed, ones you could have mistaken for presentations made by professors from Harvard or MIT. Now, unfortunately, I won't be going to either of those institutions this upcoming fall. But I am glad to have received instruction from a teacher on that same level in Mr. Komnowski. And what could show better Mr. Komnowski's resolute strength of character than the fact he's raising an adopted daughter? Like his own family, Mr. Komnowski empowers those under his instruction, no matter who they are or what level they're at. I saw these same things in Mr. Whistler, my 6th grade orchestra director. In all my years of schooling, I had never met a teacher more patient than Mr. Whistler. As I am now, I'm already a bit to deal with, but 6 years ago, I can't imagine what I must have put Mr. Whistler through. Nevertheless, Mr. Whistler taught me how to play the double bass. He cemented in me a passion for the instrument, patiently guiding me along with the rest of the class through etudes, technique building warm-ups, and all the rest. Both inside of school and outside of school, I've never met an orchestra director more focused, clear, and intelligent than Mr. Whistler. Certainly none who have matched Mr. Whistler's ability to make difficult concepts like sight reading and convoluted rhythms so easy to grasp to the beginner. He taught me a skill that I've retained 6 years after he first introduced me to it, and that I will retain for several years into the future. Mr. Whistler was the first Center Grove teacher to root for me. He made the transition from elementary school to middle school less jarring and was a person I could look toward for help in those early times when there was no one else. Truthfully, there are so many more teachers that I would like to recognize. So many more teachers that have that same passion as Mr. Whistler and Mr. Komnowski. But as a final note, I would like to thank my parents who have always been there for me, who have pushed me to pursue every opportunity available, and who continue to love and support me despite the growing that I still have to do. Thank you.
Jenna Boha is the daughter of Davy Boha and Stephen Boha. They are joined this evening remotely by Mrs. Debbie Burton from Middle School Central and from the High School Science Department, Mrs. Alicia Milligan. Jenna noted her high school memory was competing in the state Final Four her junior year for tennis. It was an incredible experience she will never forget. Jenna Boha.
My name is Jenna Boha, and I will be attending Purdue University in West Lafayette next year. At Purdue, I plan to major in animal sciences with the intention of attending veterinary school. First, I would like to thank my mom and dad. From a young age, they always believed in me when no one else did. They told me to prove people wrong when they doubted me and encouraged me to do my best and apply myself fully in everything I put my mind to. They told me I could do anything I set my mind to, and that they were there when I needed advice on how to work through problems or when I needed someone to celebrate my successes with. They are my biggest supporters and always help me to find a way to improve myself in every situation. They hold me accountable when my efforts or motivation drops and have always pushed me to do my best, and for that I am grateful. Without their love, guidance, and support, I would not be where I am today or the person I have become. Thank you both for everything. I would also like to thank all of my teachers, especially Mrs. Burton and Mrs. Milligan. Both have taught me so many important life lessons that have stuck with me and continue to use and learn from today. I have known Mrs. Burton since I was a little 6th grader when she became my tennis coach. Mrs. Burton has been a constant in my life since then. While I've never had her as a teacher, she has taught me so much and I'm so thankful for her. Coach Burton is the epitome of kindness. She treats everyone with respect and compassion in every situation. She welcomes everyone with open arms to her team, regardless of skill and attitude. She has taught me that every point is a chance to restart and to pause and take a breath. She has impacted me so much as a tennis player and as a person, and I'm so grateful for her. Thank you, Coach Burton. Similarly, I have known Mrs. Milligan since 6th grade when she became my tennis coach as well. However, she became my teacher this year for organic chemistry. Even though I did not have Mrs. Milligan's class and did not see her often throughout my first 3.5 years of high school, she never let me become another face in the hallway, which meant a lot to me. She always greeted me with positivity and seemed to really care about my well-being. Mrs. Milligan also took a subject that was daunting to me and made it interesting and fun. She demonstrated that learning is a priority rather than grades. I know that her lessons will impact my college education greatly, and she has affected me as a person as well. Both Coach Burton and Mrs. Milligan have left a lasting impact, and I appreciate everything that they have done for me. Finally, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude for the Center Grove administration, faculty, and community. All of you have made an enormous difference in my educational career and allowed me to learn and achieve at the highest level. Whether it was ensuring I had a clean, safe place to learn, creating a lesson that captivated my attention and sparked my interest, or just supporting me in my academic and athletic endeavors, without your unwavering support and desire to help and see me succeed, I would not be in the position I am today. Thank you to all of you who have supported me in my educational career.
Joining us on the screen next is Hallie Brewer. Along with her parents, Sean and Aaron Brewer, her honored educators are Mrs. Connie Allen from Center Grove Elementary and Mrs. Jen Dice from the Center Grove High School Choral Department. She cites traveling and performing with choir to Disney World, Nashville, and New York City as some of her best high school memories. Hallie Brewer.
Hi everybody, my name's Hallie and I'm super thankful to be here today. I'm honored to receive this recognition, but there's some really awesome people I have to thank for that. So first I want to thank my family for supporting me in everything I choose to pursue. You model what it means to work hard and what that should look like in my own life. Thank you for loving me endlessly, regardless of how well I perform in sports and extracurriculars, and even how I perform academically. You help to remind me that my value isn't found in these things, but that it's found in Jesus and who He has made me to be. Next, I want to thank the administration and all of the teachers I've had over the years at Center Grove. I'm extremely blessed to go to a school that is so dedicated to creating an excellent learning environment where students are both challenged academically and also cared for personally. Thank you to all of my teachers. You truly have made an impact on my life in ways that you might not even know. There are two very important teachers who I feel shaped the kind of student and person I am. These two made the biggest impact on my experience here at Center Grove, and the lessons that they taught me will carry on through my lifetime. I moved to Center Grove in 3rd grade. It was my first time in a public school, and so my parents prayed that I would be in a classroom that challenged me academically, but that was taught by someone who could help me adjust to this new school. This is exactly what happened. I was in Mrs. Allen's class in 3rd grade, and I still remember how fun and exciting, and also how essential that year was for me. It not only allowed me to get settled into a new school, but it also prepared me academically to be in classes like EL in 4th and 5th grade, and then the honors courses I took in middle school and high school. Mrs. Allen, I want to thank you for 3 things. First, I want to thank you for teaching me what it means to work hard. You always demonstrated to us how hard work pays off and how important it is that we always do the best that we can possibly do. That mindset has set me on a path to success and will continue to serve me well in the future. Second, I want to thank you for teaching me how to be compassionate. You have demonstrated such compassion with every child you worked with. You taught me that every person is valuable and has valuable thoughts and opinions, and this has shown me the importance of being kind to the people I work with. It's helped me to find lots of wonderful friendships, and it's led me to be someone that people can easily trust. Thank you for demonstrating that so well. Lastly, I want to thank you for teaching me that learning can be fun. Every day you came to school excited to teach your class, thankful for every opportunity you had to teach something new, and that helped me to be excited about learning. You showed me to never stop learning and to use my knowledge to help better those around me. Thank you for being a wonderful teacher and an even better role model for me to look up to. The other teacher I want to thank is my choir director, Mrs. Dice. I will never have enough words to thank you for all the opportunities you've provided me with and your expectation for excellence that's taught me numerous lessons to carry on past high school. I want to thank you for a couple specific things. First, I want to thank you for making us run miles at every rehearsal because you know that they make us stronger. Thank you for expecting us to arrive early to practice because you know that being punctual is a life skill. Thank you for providing us with leadership experiences because it teaches us qualities that will serve us well in our future careers. Thank you for caring about us enough to set the bar really high because you know what each of your students is capable of achieving. Thank you for caring about us enough to say hard things and motivate us to stay on the path to success. All of these things I experience constantly from you throughout each year of high school, and I couldn't be more thankful. But most of all, thank you for being someone that's always rooting for me. You encourage me to be the very best I can be and to take all the opportunities I have to do great things. Thank you for your advice and support and the way you treat me with kindness and respect. It's something that I hope to emulate as I move to college and beyond. Next year, I'm going to college in California, which obviously is really far away. But because of my family's support and everything I've learned from my time here, I'm confident that I'll thrive wherever I am, even if that's across the country. So thank you to everyone who has made a difference in my life and has helped me get where I am today. I love you all.
Philip Golder is our next speaker this evening. He is joined by his parents, Jeffrey and Diana Golder, as well as Mr. Sam Fritz, band director at Middle School Central, and Mr. Greg Warner from the high school science department. Philip was involved in cross country while at Center Grove High School and listed his favorite memory as making the team with his friends beside him. Philip Golder.
Hi, my name is Philip Golder, and next year I will have the honor of attending the United States Air Force Academy. There's been a lot of crazy things that have happened in my 4 years of high school, and it feels like the class of 20 has had a bit of bad luck, but this situation really tops it. There's a lot of things, really, that I would like to have said to my friends and classmates and teachers, but unfortunately most of that will have to go unsaid. However, I'm grateful to have the opportunity now to share some of it with you, and to thank those who have helped me along the way and say goodbye to some of the people I'll miss. Being able to compete this highly on an academic level isn't that easy, and it took from me a lot of patience and dedication, but I can say without a doubt that I would have had a much harder time without the amazing teachers and great education that I've received throughout my whole life at Center Grove. I feel wholeheartedly that every teacher that I've had personally has done an excellent job in preparing me not just for academic success in school, but for the continued success outside of school, and I would like to thank them for their hard work and everything they've done. I don't have time to thank every one of them personally, so I'll have to settle for just two. First, I'd like to thank my middle school band teacher, Mr. Fritz. Being able to be in his class for all 3 years of middle school, I really came to admire his dedication to teaching music and his passion for us, his students. He made his class fun and taught us the value of continued practice and the importance of practicing the right way. Thank you, Mr. Fritz. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Warner, not just for being my high school physics teacher, but also being one of my Fellowship of Christian Athletes leader and someone I really admire very much. Thank you for your patience with us in physics and for the example you set for me every day in class. Thank you for being not only a great teacher, but also a role model. Finally, I would like to thank the most important teachers in my life, my parents. It goes without being said that I would not be in the position I am today if it wasn't for them and what they've done for me and the support they've given me throughout my whole life. Many people didn't get the chance to have the kind of parents that I had when I was growing up, and I realize how fortunate I have been. So thank you. If I had known that last month would be the last time when we get to see those I've met at Center Grove, I would have been able to thank a lot more people and said a lot more to my friends before we all went our separate ways. But I suppose that's life, and we don't get to know when our last day will be. I hope that as I move forward, I will be able to take the people and friends in my life less for granted. But for now, all that's left to say is goodbye, Center Grove, and I'll miss you.
The next member of the class of 2020 to speak is Olivia Gooch. She is watching this evening with her parents, Julie Jackson and Jeff Gooch, along with her Maple Grove elementary teacher, Mrs. Kuskinen, and CGHS color guard instructor, Keith Potter. Olivia's favorite memories in high school are in color guard going to international championships every year. Over the 4 years she's attended, her favorite memory is of last year's trip. Performing the last show surrounded by all of her friends and family made her feel like the luckiest girl in the world. Olivia Gooch.
Thank you all for being here. I feel so honored to be a part of this group of seniors. I'd like to take the time to thank my parents and teachers for helping me get where I am today. I didn't really go out of my comfort zone in elementary and middle school, but teachers like Mrs. Cascade helped me expand said zone. I don't remember a lot of elementary, but I remember Mrs. Cascade's 3rd grade class. 3rd grade was very eventful for me. I got a new little sister, changed ballet schools, and turned 9 years old. Big stuff, right? To me, everything was changing, and I didn't like it. But school remained a bright spot. There, I could disappear into a book at the class library, play hopscotch on Maple Grove's hallway tiles, and learn about multiplication with Mrs. Cascade. But what amazes me the most about elementary school teachers is that they never forget a face. My brother and Mrs. Cascade's daughter went to the same preschool, and whenever I saw her at Crabapple Creek when I went with my mom to go pick up my little brother up, she would always give me a wave and say hi. It would make my day, every time. Throughout my education, I've always remembered Mrs. Cascade and the joy of learning she taught me. I'd also like to thank my parents and the wonderful job they did raising me. Everyone has always said that my mom and I look alike, but the similarities run deeper. We both make the same excited, goofy face. We also have been involved in the same sport of the arts, color guard. My favorite memory with my mom is walking onto the floor at WGI World Championships with her. It was WGI's 40-year anniversary, and they brought back alumni to walk onto the floor with the current color guards. It was an incredible feeling to share this history with my mom, and I'll always treasure that moment. My dad has also been amazing. Without him, I wouldn't have discovered my love performing. He works at Butler University, and every year the Butler Ballet put on a production of the Nutcracker. My dad took me to auditions and practices leading up to the performance. I also got to hang out with him backstage, which made a scary new thing that much easier. Without my dad's guidance, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Finally, I'd like to recognize Mr. Keith Potter for introducing me to the world of color guard. During high school, I spent most of my free time falling in love with color guard. Mr. Potter is the director of the Center Grove Color Guard, and his guidance has shaped my core values to this day. Not only did I learn to spin, but I also learned to be part of a team, put others before myself, and forge connections to make some of my closest friends. Entering high school, I didn't have a lot of friends because I spent all my time in a dance studio and not talking to other people. But when I joined Color Guard, that all changed. I suddenly had this family of people that I could go to about anything. Without Mr. Potter, I wouldn't have had the support system and bonds I have today. Before runs of the show, Mr. Potter would always pull us in for a pre-show talk. I'll never forget the last time he pulled it in. It was the day before school moved to e-learning and shut down the buildings. Right before we started, he said, "Here we go. Have fun." His words stuck with me, and that last show was a great end to an even better season. Even though the season is over, I'll always have the lessons I learned in guard from Mr. Potter, both on and off the field. High school has not been easy, and this year has certainly topped the cake, but my teachers and parents have made a difficult end bittersweet instead of just bitter. Thank you to all my teachers for shaping my education and teaching me both math lessons and life lessons. Thank you to my parents for guiding me through the ups and downs of life while battling difficult problems of their own. This year may have been difficult, but the connections I've made with my teachers and parents will stand out as the bright spots, and I am forever grateful for that. Thank you.
Sophia Hagedorn's favorite memory of high school is Merienda Miércoles in AP Spanish. Sophia is joined this evening by her parents, Sherry and Alan Hagedorn, her retired Maple Grove teacher, Mrs. Barbara Dunn, and from the high school English department, Mr. David Lawson. Sophia Hagedorn.
Who would have ever thought our senior year would end like this? I know when I imagined the last couple of months of high school, staying at home and doing schoolwork through e-learning never even crossed my mind as a possibility. However, here we are. Yet as I look back on the last 12 years of my life, I am bursting with memories of all the exceptional times I had and all of the people who were there for me along the way. I want to thank my parents for always supporting me and pushing me to become the best possible version of myself. From a young age, you taught me the importance of learning and receiving a quality education. You have made sure I am always being challenged to reach my full potential and have every possible opportunity open to me. You pushed me to reach outside of my comfort zone with all of the educationally enriching summer camps I attended and have allowed me to explore many interests through these. I want to thank my father as well for everything you have done for me at the high school. Whenever I was having a rough day, I always knew I could go to your room and you would be there to cheer me up. Thank you for all of the rides to and from school and for allowing me to turn your classroom into my home base these last 4 years. Next, I want to thank my grandparents for being my cheerleaders and for helping me with my homework all those nights in elementary school at the kitchen table. I honestly couldn't ask for more supportive grandparents. I want to thank my brother for being my own personal tutor and for supporting me through everything. You have been a wonderful mentor these last 4 years, and I am deeply thankful for this. I want to thank Mrs. Dunn, my 3rd grade teacher, for helping me find my love of learning at such a young age. You made sure we had fun in class every single day and always challenged us to reach one step further. One of the things that stands out to me in my memory are the plays we put on as a class. I want to thank you for not just making school 6 hours of learning a day, but taking the time to go above and beyond and do fun activities like the plays. They were such an enjoyable time, and I remember how much I loved to perform them in front of our peers and family members. I want to further thank you for always pushing me in my academics. It was this that made me truly realize for the first time how capable I am and provided me the springboard for always searching for new ways to challenge myself in the future. I want to thank Mr. Lawson for being there for me and helping me find my confidence in a year when I was going through a lot and was experiencing large amounts of stress. You were always supportive of me in everything I did and made sure I knew how talented I was. You were always understanding when I was having a difficult time and willing to work with me. In a year of a seemingly constant state of being overwhelmed, you provided me with encouragement and compassion when I needed it most. You also made me a much stronger writer, and for this I am thankful. I know I will take what I learned in your class with me to college and will use those skills for the rest of my life. I have enjoyed continuing our relationship this year and am extremely appreciative for all of your support towards my endeavors this year. I want to thank Mrs. Fruits for supporting me through moving up in math last year and for all the encouragement you gave me along the way. You believed in me and my abilities even when I struggled to, and this greatly helped me succeed. I want to thank Mr. Gaff for getting me started with the Spanish language. I am going on to minor in Spanish in college and am extremely appreciative for all you have done over the past 4 years to get me here. I want to thank Mrs. Collum for introducing me to psychology. I absolutely loved your class and it influenced me to go on and minor in psychology in college. We are all made up of a mosaic of the major influences in our lives and the impact they have had. I know I have been truly blessed by the people in my life and the influence they have had on me. As I look towards my future, I know I will carry these people and their impact with me. I'm extremely excited for what the future holds and thankful for everything Center Grove has done to help me achieve everything I have in the past.
Joining us next is Jenna Hans. Her parents, Michael and Tamara Hans, are with her this evening, and her special guests include Mr. Andrew McRoberts from Middle School North and Mrs. Summer Earsman from the High School Business Department. Jenna listed her favorite memories of high school as the competitions with trips with the band. From marching in the Hollywood Christmas Parade at Thanksgiving and all the travels with band, she counts those as her memories that she is most grateful for. Jenna Hans.
First, I would like to thank the administration at Center Grove High School for the opportunity to celebrate our accomplishments as a class. Our senior year will definitely be memorable. During the past 13 years, I've had the opportunity to meet and work with a variety of different people, many of whom have impacted my life in a positive way. I'm grateful to the students, teachers, and staff at Center Grove who have guided me, challenged me, inspired me, and encouraged me. They have pushed me to not only be the best student I can be, but the best person I can be as well. It was difficult for me to choose just 2 teachers to recognize today. After much deliberation, however, I have chosen 2 teachers who I feel like have had a significant impact on my life. The first teacher I would like to recognize is Mrs. Erisman. Mrs. Erisman teaches computer science at the high school. I decided to take AP Computer Science Principles after hearing people rave about the computer science classes. To say I was nervous would be an understatement. The only experience I had coding was during IT Girls in 6th grade. However, my fears were unwarranted. Mrs. Erisman made me feel welcome from the moment I walked into her classroom. She is kind and outgoing, and her enthusiasm is contagious. One thing I love about her is that she takes time at the beginning of each class to ask us how we're doing. She asks about our weekend, our extracurricular activities, and our other classes. You can tell that she genuinely cares about her students. She understands that everyone learns at a different pace and constantly reminds us of that. She never makes us feel as if our questions aren't valid. I always look forward to going to class, even though it was at 7:30 in the morning. The second teacher I would like to recognize is Mr. McRoberts. Mr. McRoberts was my 7th grade social studies teacher at CGMSN. He had a gift for making even the most mundane topics interesting. I will always remember our group projects, songs, and of course, the Thunderdome, Mr. McRoberts' version of Jeopardy! My friends and I always look forward to going to his class. Perhaps my greatest takeaway from his class was the phrase, "Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose." This quote could be found throughout his classroom and even made an occasional appearance on a test. It wasn't until I began writing the speech that I decided to research where it came from. I might be the only one who doesn't know this, but this quote comes from the television show Friday Night Lights, which makes sense considering Mr. McRoberts' love of football. Simply put, it means that we can accomplish anything if we stay focused and engaged. It was a rallying cry of passion, optimism, and hope. As a teacher, Mr. McRoberts displayed all of these qualities. Finally, I would like to thank my parents. I would not be where I am today without their love and support. They were always there, even when I just needed a shoulder to cry on. They never missed a game, concert, or performance. My mom has always encouraged me to do my best and to try new things. She enrolled me in art and music classes when I was young and filled my room with books. She drove me to and from school and to all of my extracurricular activities. She has edited countless essays, sewn costumes for the drama club, and volunteered as a box mom for the marching band. My dad has also spent countless hours as a volunteer. From designing and building props to moving equipment on and off the field, he helps wherever he can. My dad is the most patient person I know. He is also the voice of reason. I have always struggled with anxiety, even in elementary school, but my dad is a calming presence. He reminds me to breathe and reassures me that everything is going to be okay. As much as I hate to admit it, his dad jokes do help. My parents have worked hard to make sure I have every opportunity, and I will always be grateful to them for that. I am proud to be a part of the class of 2020. We have worked so hard to get here, and I am thankful to everyone who has helped me along the way. Thank you.
Our next speaker this evening is Kaitlyn Janssen. She is joined this evening by her parents, Pat and Cheryl Janssen, Miss Amy Harmon from Middle School North, and Mr. Wesley Dodson from the High School Math Department. Her favorite high school memory is when she attended her first spike ball meeting. She showed up to find that she was the only girl. Though it was very intimidating, it ended up being a super fun time, and she and her partner were soon giving the other teams a run for their money. It was her favorite high school memory because it embodies what high school is all about, getting to be herself and doing what she enjoys. Kaitlyn Janssen.
I kept telling myself that I could not wait for high school to end and to move on to college. I by no means meant it this literally. None of us planned for this, but here are 20 things I recognized and learned during quarantine. 1. Do not eat raw bats. 2. If you need a bajillion rolls of toilet paper for a couple weeks of quarantine, then you should have probably gone to the doctor long before now. 3. Taste and smell are important senses anyways. 4. Zooms are very exciting because actual socialization. 5. I've learned where I've gotten my humor. Relevant joke in 3, 2, 1. I'm on a seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. 6. I've learned that even after 18 years, I've acquired very few hobbies that require staying indoors. 7. Trips to the grocery store are the most entertaining. 8. I never knew I had so many outfits to dress my dog in. 9. Allergy season is the absolute worst season to have a pandemic in. 10. Waking up before 9 should be illegal. 11. Dance parties with yourself are a must. 12. Pants are not essential. 13. A walk a day keeps the doctors away. 14. Only crazy people enjoy running. 15. I am soon going to be a pro at longboarding. 16. I am incapable of taking a bacon angel food cake. 17. Walking on your hands is a lot more difficult than it sounds. 18. Calculus can be fun. 19. Rubik's Cubes are cool. And finally, 20. I would do anything to go back to high school right now and finish out senior year. In all seriousness, one thing for sure is that I have had a lot of time to reminisce and reflect on my high school experience. From the countless hours spent on the soccer field, to the friends I have made, to the late nights ups doing homework, I am forever grateful for the memories I have made, the good and the bad. From these experiences throughout high school, I have learned to take life one day at a time. Laugh off the stupid moments or mistakes. Wake up and be thankful you have the opportunity to live. Cherish every moment. First and foremost, I would like to thank God for my success. I would not be standing here today without my faith. Mom and Dad, I would like to thank you for all your love, support, and encouragement throughout my life. You both have missed only a handful of soccer games, banquets, etc. during my time growing up, and for that support I am very thankful. I could not have been more blessed with better parents. To my siblings, I am so grateful for all 3 of you. Whenever I need something, you guys are always right there, usually with some sarcasm, but I appreciate it. Thank you for being my built-in best friends. To all my coaches, the athletic department, and athletic trainers. Although none of you are here today, I want to thank you all for the time committed to my sport and developing me as a person on and off the soccer field. To my teachers, it is so easy sometimes to forget about our teachers when we think about the people we are today. I want to thank all my teachers I've had throughout my time at Center Grove. I would particularly like to thank the 2 teachers I invited tonight, Mr. Dotson and Mrs. Harmon. You are 2 of the people who have developed me most to enjoy learning, and for that, I am forever thankful. I am proud to say that I am a member of the Center Grove's graduating class of 2020. Go Trojans!
Graham Canwit is our next top 20 student to address us this evening. Graham is accompanied by his parents, John Paul Canwit and Alyssa Canwit. His special guests are Mr. Kevin Gahn from Middle School Central and Mr. Chris Blackburn, formerly of the High School Social Studies and Foreign Language Department. Graham has many great memories of high school, but at the top of this list is the 2018 March for Our Lives walkout. Graham Canwit.
It's really hard for me to believe that my senior year is almost over. Obviously, this isn't the way that anybody wanted it to end, but I don't think I can be anything but grateful when I think about just all the amazing people that have had an impact on my life. Tonight, I want to talk about 5 of those people. So my mom and dad have been role models for me for all of my life. They've really shown me how to be not only a good student, but also a good person. There was no comma there. For years, they've shown me how to be curious, ask the right questions, and get as much out of my education as I possibly can. For my parents and for me, I think school is what you make of it. And that philosophy has helped me throughout high school, and I know it'll continue to help me in college. Now I want to talk about my 8th grade social studies teacher, Mr. Gahn. He was one of the youngest teachers I've ever had, but if you just walked into his classroom one day, you'd never know it based on the way he carries himself. He's got this really unique teaching style, and I think that that's one of the main reasons that I've been so interested in history in the last few years. I'm never going to forget about the Civil War battle that our 8th grade class had, or his endless treasure trove of YouTube videos, or the time that I died on the Oregon Trail. So I'd also like to thank Mrs. Tedrow. She's, without a doubt, one of the best teachers that I've ever had. She's been my teacher for 3 years in a row in English and in publications. I think it's because of her that I have a unique voice in my writing. So I just want to say, Mrs. Tedrow, thank you for showing me that I can have an impact on other people with my writing. The last thing that I want to say about Mrs. Tedder before I move on is that she's one of the nicest people you will ever meet. Unless you want to try to steal her 9th period class's Oreos, then you will get on her bad side and it will not be good for you. So I only had Mr. Lawson for 1 year, but he was definitely one of my favorite teachers. He challenged me to be a better and more purposeful writer, which has helped me in every class. He was interesting and engaging, and he's even stayed in touch with me even though I'm no longer one of his students. He's one of the most thought-provoking people I've ever met, and he has an amazing vocabulary. It's so amazing that there were many times in his class when he would read the rubric to our class and none of us understood what it meant because the vocabulary words that he used were just, like ubiquitous, matriculate, what? But that's a good thing because it means he's really, really smart, and I think everybody who meets him is smarter for it. Mr. Blackburn has been there since the beginning. He was my Chinese teacher from 8th grade to 10th grade, and he did the school a tremendous service. He almost single-handedly grew the Chinese class into the successful program that it is today. And I think he's definitely paved the way for students and teachers to come. But he's not just that. He's also a fantastic teacher. He was fair, but he challenged everybody in his classes to improve themselves every day. He expected a lot out of everyone, but he also expected a lot out of himself. You could tell. And he delivered every day. He also just genuinely cared about every student who walked into his class. And he went out of his way to form personal connections with them. Mr. Blackburn, I know we made fun of you for talking about how you have a small ego all the time, but it's true, you really do have a small ego. And I also just want to say thank you for teaching me how to really love the Chinese language. So because of my family and my teachers and all my friends, I think I've probably had about as rewarding a high school experience as anybody can have. I know that because there are so many other people that I want to thank tonight who I just don't have time to mention. So I want to end this just by saying thank you, Center Grove High School, and you will be missed.
Jacob Miller is joined this evening by his parents, Steve and Nikki Miller. He has chosen Mrs. Jacinda Reardon from Middle School North and Mrs. Karen Fruits from the high school math department. Jacob cites winning the dogfight for Quiz Bowl captain as his favorite high school memory. Jacob Miller.
K through 12. That was quite a few grades. There was so much perspective in that, K through 12. It's practically all of my years summed up as a simple block of time. It sounds so small. Then again, I remember being in elementary school and thinking about the 12. It felt infinitely far away, like some distant world. Well, I'm here at 12, my senior year, finishing the first major block of my life and preparing for the next. I have changed significantly throughout these years. Of course I have. That's what you're supposed to do. But a through line exists. Academics is that through line. And I mean it beyond just receiving a simple education. I mean a passion for knowledge, understanding, and facts. It has always been a driving force. And it's where I'm competitive, the place where I'm never complacent. I'm a curious person, fascinated by fact. And school for me provides a structured system where I can habitually indulge myself. Learning is made easy. And you just have to want it and take it to learning. Some teachers have made learning easier than others. Some teachers really stand out and shine. They are passionate, engaging, and view their job not so much as a lesson planner, but as a caretaker. Teachers are critical parts in the formative experience of childhood, so to monotonously dish out lessons undermines the whole thing. One teacher who stood out and had the traits I previously described is my dance partner, Mrs. Jacinda Reardon. She was my English teacher back in 6th grade, and well, English has never really been one of my focal subjects. This essentially means that I don't automatically like it as I do math or science. It's up to the teacher as to whether I enjoy the class. I thoroughly enjoyed Mrs. Reardon's class. This is so important too because if I'm bored in a class, I'll lose the motivation to learn. Teachers need to be fun. Sure, they have to get their stuff done, but there's plenty of room to make things exciting. Thinking back, Mrs. Reardon's class may be where I started to develop my passion for language too. Vocab grammar practice, why would I ever enjoy such a thing? Must be because I enjoyed the class. Mr. Reardon was also a coach for this other thing, Academic Super Bowl, which was kind of like one of the cornerstones of my educational experience. Earlier I said I was passionate about academics, and competitive too. Well, Academic Bowl, and later in high school, Quiz Bowl, is where that matters most, and where I can really express myself. So Mrs. Reardon was there for the start of my extracurricular academic experience, and I'd like to thank her for that, and for her great class. My other teacher was there for the end, Mrs. Karen Fruits. Just wow, what a great human being. I first met her doing the math team for Academic Super Bowl in high school. I have done this all 4 years of high school, and has really furthered my ability and passion for math. She would always give us snacks to eat, plenty of time to work. In my freshman year, nearly everyone else on the team was a senior or junior, 20 feet taller than me, and the material was just completely beyond me at the time. But Mrs. Fruits made sure we weren't discouraged. She helped make the unknowns in this big, complex math the seniors could do not terrifying, but exciting. Junior and senior year, I had her for calculus, A, B, and BC, where I could stretch my legs, getting up and doing whiteboard problems, or enjoy the occasional activity or review game. Or I could even just listen to this sort of calculus story time where Mrs. Fruits would tell us the theory of how something worked. She physically had things for us to do, but the biggest part is just listening to her. Mrs. Fruits always sounds excited and engaged when talking about math. You can tell that she loves math, which makes me love it even more. So I'd like to formally thank Mrs. Fruits for advancing me further in my passion for math than anyone else ever has. Now, I have to say that I found having to pick only 2 teachers almost a little offensive. It's kind of like asking someone to pick their favorite child. It just feels wrong. There are so many other teachers that I would also have loved to fully recognize, like Mr. Gaff and Mrs. Cole. I love my teachers. They've made me who I am. But not all the people who have made me who I am are teachers by occupation. My mom, Nikki, my dad, Steve, and my sister, Sid, are teachers too. They have taught me just about everything else that isn't covered in a curriculum, which is a lot. Of course, I would not be here without my family, so I am thanking my mom, dad, and sister for being exactly who I need them to be. Well, there's K through 12.
Shooting rockets after school for aerospace engineering is Gabriel Peters' favorite memory of high school. He is joined tonight by his parents, Luther and Joyce Peters, middle school North teacher Mike Boha, and high school tech ed teacher Mr. Brent Schultz are his honored guests. Gabriel Peters.
I want to start off by thanking my family, specifically my mom and dad, for making sure I stay alive, and my 2 siblings, Rory and Ben, for keeping me sane. I'm very thankful to have such a wonderful family to be around, especially in a crisis such as this. I also want to thank all of the teachers I've had over the years, but I want to specifically recognize Mr. Boha from Middle School North and Mr. Schultz from the high school. Some of my best memories from middle school came from the band class taught by Mr. Poehler, and I want to thank him for the 3 great years I had in band. I tooted a pretty good horn, and even though I did not continue past freshman year with band due to scheduling issues, I'll always be glad I chose to play an instrument and I got to be in Mr. Poehler's classes. Other than teaching me how to play the French horn, he also taught me how to be loud and express myself in ways previously unbeknownst to me, so I want to thank him for that as well. Some of my best memories from high school came from the 2 classes that I took with Mr. Schultz, Intro to Engineering Design and Aerospace Engineering. Now, aerospace was by far the best class I ever took throughout my entire academic career, and a lot of that is thanks to Mr. Schultz. I always loved our projects, and I have fond memories of spending hours constructing a glider, only for it to shatter into several pieces upon testing it, and I actually still have it here, just covered in tape and lots and lots and lots of glue. Good times. But seriously, I learned so much in those classes, and it has inspired me to go into engineering in college. Yes, I've enjoyed a lot of classes, but aerospace went to infinity and beyond. High school has not always treated me well, and friends come and go, but I want to thank some very special friends for helping me through high school. I love all my friends dearly, but I especially wanted to thank Jake, Philip, Luke, Graham, Ian, and Athulia. You guys helped me out a lot, and probably more than you think. Thanks for keeping me mostly sane. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you everyone who got me to where I am today. I really appreciate it.
Lillian Peters, the next member of the top 20 this evening. Along with her parents, Lisa and Jeff Peters, Lillian has invited middle school central teacher, Mr. Sean Riley, and high school world language teacher, Mr. Adam Gaff. She noted her best high school memory was a 2018 dance marathon where she and her team raised $12,000 for Riley's Children's Hospital. Lillian Peters.
Hello, everyone. It's a genuine honor for me to be able to speak to you as a representative in the top 20 students of the class of 2020, even if this isn't exactly the way I'd hoped to deliver these words. Regardless, I'm grateful that the efforts I have put forth and the ample support I have been given throughout my academic career have led to the reception of this recognition. Though I owe the enhancement of my scholastic success to numerous staff members, relatives, friends, and classmates, I would like to thank specifically some of the individuals who have been most supportive and influential to me during my time as a Center Grove student. First and foremost, I would like to thank my parents and grandparents for constantly pushing me to do my best in school from the very beginning. You've been instilling in me a strong work ethic and a passion for all that I do for as long as I can remember. Your support and willingness to challenge me daily have played a major role in shaping me to be both the student and the individual that I am today, and I'm so grateful for that. When asked to choose just one teacher from both middle school and high school to recognize as an impactful educator in my life, I was faced with a challenge because there are honestly so many teachers that have helped shape me into the current student that I am today. Before I thank the teachers I specifically selected, I want to show appreciation to all of the teachers I've had this year. You all are being faced with a completely unprecedented situation, and in case no one has told you, the compassion and support that you have shown your students is recognized and deeply valued. Though this is not at all how I envisioned the end of my senior year, I'm grateful to have had such a strong group of educators to support me as a student through this uncertain time. I'd like to thank Mr. Sean Riley, whom I am choosing to recognize as one of the most influential middle school teachers, for laying the foundation of my desire to study the Spanish language. Without your guidance in the early stages of my Spanish education, I never would have chosen to pursue Spanish up to this point in my high school career, and as a minor in college. I've enjoyed having you as a part of both my school and church communities, and I'm thankful for the role you played in getting me started on the path I am pursuing in a subject I love. I'd also like to thank Mr. Adam Gaff, whom I am choosing to recognize as one of my most influential high school teachers, for continuing to foster the passion I have for learning this language. Having you as a Spanish teacher for the last 3 years has been very academically challenging, but I'm grateful for the way you've helped me to grow as a Spanish speaker, a student, and a person over the course of my high school career. Merienda Miércoles is one of the only things that has kept me sane this year, and all of the help you've given me with college and scholarship applications has been an absolute saving grace. Thank you for being such a meaningful part of my high school experience. Es a través de ustedes que he desarrollado un amor tan fuerte por esta lengua. Les debo muchas gracias por eso. I would also like to mention one more person to whom I owe a huge thank you. That person is Mrs. Jeannie Schwartz. You are one of the most encouraging and supportive educators I've ever come in contact with in my time as a Center Grove student. Your willingness to both challenge students academically and be a friend to each and every one is something that has stuck with me since I had the honor of being your 7th grade student. I hope one day to be as caring and uplifting as you are. Thank you for being such an encouragement in my life. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate that the influence of all the individuals I have mentioned, including my family, specific teachers, and all of the other endlessly dedicated educators and administrators, has driven my academic success to become what it is today. I owe so many thanks to all of you for helping me to grow as a student and an individual, so much so that I'm now able to be recognized as a member of the top 20 students in my class. This would not be possible without your efforts. I look forward to using the tools you all have taught me to continue on as I further my education at Indiana University. Thank you.
David Pham joins us with his parents, Maylee and Thin Pham. Mrs. Nancy McDowell, formerly of Middle School Central, and Andrea Tevan from the high school PE department round out David's guests. He listed playing in the soccer regional final game his freshman year as his best high school memories. David.
Hi. It's great to be here among the best of CG, and I think something we all share under the spotlight is a membrane of vulnerability that some of our favorite people noticed in us. This membrane encloses the fears and doubts we may have had about high school, or even the fears and doubts we have beyond high school. And it really only allowed certain people to enter and impact our lives. However, I don't think this membrane hid us from our potential, but rather it exposed us to some of our most influential teachers, family members, and friends who genuinely understand us, our talent, and our hard work. And these are the people that I would like to show appreciation to right here, right now. My 6th grade teacher, Mrs. McDowell, was one of the first teachers that really earned my trust. I was definitely an awkward kid, and if you can imagine a skinny Asian American with a buzz cut and Nike transition glasses, that was me. Mrs. McDowell saw that kid too, but she also saw the humor and passion in that kid. Her teaching was engaging, and her relationships with her kids were always fun and rich, but with me, she showed the most kindness and compatible personality, and I couldn't imagine a better teacher to spark my middle school career and long-term love for school. Thank you. Another teacher of mine, Mrs. T-Van, also fed my passions for school, but more specifically for medicine. Not only did she open opportunities for me to participate in medical events like HOSA or intern doctors such as cardiothoracic surgeon Dr. Barksdale, but she also eased the chaotic and stressful times of my life during my junior and senior year with her super easy, kind, humorous, and understanding personality. There are many instances where she finds humor in my mistakes, and I'm sure many of us can think of a time or two where I wasn't fully aware of my surroundings, but that only encourages me, so thank you. Now, in regards to my friends and family, you know who you are. If you've ever tolerated my late night calls when I start homework at 10 after I've gotten home from soccer, or if you've made me laugh uncontrollably to the point where I'm almost crying because you're immature or stupid or both, if you've accidentally made fun of my dad's Vietnamese name or called me a bot because things are just trivial, if you've ever sat with me and talked to me about anything or supported my unwavering opinion about how every single prompt in English is stupid, ambiguous, and confusing, if you've ever helped me at all along the way up to this e-learning pedestal where I give my speech today, thank you. I didn't do any of this high school stuff but myself, and each and every one of my teachers, friends, family members, faculty, coach, students that I've encountered on a meaningful basis has played a part in my journey forward, hopefully to be an exciting one. So thank you so much.
Anukna Ba takes the stage next. Parents Chris and Sherry Poehler are joining us, as well as Mr. Dustin Russell from Center Grove Elementary School and Mrs. Tedrow from Center Grove High School. Anna lists raising money and putting on a Riley Dance Marathon each year as her favorite memory. Anna Poehler.
After spending around a month away from school physically because of this pandemic, I've had the opportunity to prematurely see what life outside of Center Grove High School will look like. I'll just say that I never knew that I would genuinely miss my 6 a.m. alarm or sitting through a lecture. As I've had time to reflect, my entire school experience has been nothing less than ideal, thanks to my friends, classmates, and teachers. There is no doubt that a student cannot succeed and reach their full potential without the guidance and encouragement of teachers. I think many of us can agree with this, especially as we have adjusted to the e-learning challenge. Never before has it been so evident that teachers play a vital role in shaping the minds of their students. I've attended Center Grove School since kindergarten, and I truly could not have asked for a better experience, both academically and personally. I've undoubtedly been challenged, but never without the constant support of my teachers and peers. Every teacher that I've had deserves a thank you, but I'm recognizing too they went above and beyond in memorable ways. Both of these teachers stood out for their kindness and their genuine appreciation for learning, thinking, and creating beyond the gradebook. Firstly, Mr. Russell was my 4th grade extended learning teacher. I switched to a different school to be an EL, so naturally I was somewhat nervous to leave behind my school and my friends. I remember reaching his classroom on the first day of school and seeing a line outside his door. Mr. Russell was standing at the door, shaking each student's hand before we walked in the classroom. He did this every morning before class started, truly making us feel like capable adults and giving me confidence in the classroom. His lessons were project-based, which I loved and looked forward to every day. We wrote weekly essays, and his feedback on assignments was always personal and plentiful. I truly loved learning because of his classroom, and that set the foundation for the rest of my schooling. On top of that, it would be hard to find a kinder person that loves his students more than Mr. Russell. He embodies everything that a teacher should be, and has undoubtedly left an impact on me as a student and as a person. I've taken my fair share of STEM classes in high school, specifically an abundance of science classes, which does make sense considering my major and career plan. Ironically, though, my favorite teacher in high school teaches English and advises publications, our high school's Converge newsroom. Mrs. Tedrow is the epitome of kindness, and teaching is truly her calling. I saw firsthand that Mrs. Tedrow wears so many hats at CG, whether it be taking pictures at a football game, teaching about tone, or speaking at FCA. Admittedly, I took publications my sophomore year to check off my fine arts credit. Little did I know that I would learn so many real-life lessons in that classroom from Mrs. Tedrow and in her English and etymology class that I will carry into college and the future. She helped me to step out of my comfort zone, which I will always appreciate. Mrs. Tedrow works incredibly hard each day, and honestly, there were some days that I didn't know how she packed all of her tasks into 24 hours, especially when there was a yearbook deadline approaching. Yet, whenever I asked any question or favor, she always acted like I, the student, was her number one priority. Like Mr. Russell, Mrs. Tedrow was more concerned about genuine learning rather than the grade in the gradebook. As a student, that was very refreshing, and I truly looked forward to her classes each day. I definitely couldn't end without thanking my parents, because as cheesy as it sounds, I truly have no idea what I would do without them. Whether it be my mom spending hours upon hours looking into different colleges and programs with me, or my dad going to get me an iced coffee when I'm up late studying, they have supported me in every way possible. They never put any pressure on me to get a certain grade or get into a certain school. For that, I'm incredibly appreciative because I know that's not always the case. They've given me the opportunity to pursue any path I could dream of after high school, which is such a blessing that I try not to take for granted. Of course, it's impossible to capture my entire Center Grove experience in a few words, but I do know that my friends, family, teachers, and classmates made it incredible. Being a part of a school system that excels in everything it does is not something that I take for granted. I pride myself on always striving for excellence, and I have no doubt it's because of the environment and people that I've been surrounded by my entire life. So, thank you to my friends, classmates, and teachers for an unforgettable 13 years.
Claire Rake is the daughter of Steve and Tricia Rake. Her honored guests include Mrs. Christy Waters from Center Grove Elementary and Mr. Ryan Hendricks from the high school science department. Claire listed her favorite high school memory as sophomore year when she and a couple of friends had a picnic in the hallway during finals. Claire Rake.
Hello, fellow teachers and classmates. For anyone who does not know me, my name is Claire Rake, and I am so thankful to be here and to be able to share this amazing academic accomplishment with 19 other members of the class of 2020. This is nothing like what I imagined the ending of my senior year to be. But then again, nothing ever lives up to High School Musical. In all seriousness, I know us students are all trying to make the best of this impossible situation, and I am very glad that this night was still able to happen. First and foremost, I would like to thank my parents for everything they have done for me up until this point in my life. From the countless rides to and from school, packed lunches with cute notes and extra cookies, many hours trying to help me solve a math problem, only to figure out that they were taught a very different way, and to the late-night trips to the store for printer paper and ink. I cannot thank them enough for the love and support that they have surrounded me with time and time again. Without their noticeable hard work and dedication, I would not be the student that I am today. As a kindergarten student just learning the ways of school and friendships, to a senior getting ready to graduate and enter the crazy life of adulthood, I am glad to say that I have so many lasting memories that I will forever cherish, and I couldn't thank Center Grove enough. There is no other school or community that I would have rather spent my past 13 years. There are so many teachers I have looked up to and respected that it made it very difficult to just honor two, which demonstrates the high value of teachers in the Center Grove Corporation. Mrs. Waters and Mr. Hendricks, both of you have always brought so much joy to your classroom, and it is very obvious how much you care and look after your students. I know that if I would ever need anything, both of you would be more than welcome to help, and that goes for all of your students. Even though Mrs. Waters was just my kindergarten teacher, I surprisingly remember a lot from that point in my life, which goes to show how enjoyable my time was as her student. Two things that stick out to me were the Tootie Toss song that our class used to dance to on repeat, and the class bear that each student got a chance to take home. Mr. Hendricks, although I was never in one of your actual classes, your abundant support in both athletics and the classroom shouldn't go unnoticed. I will miss being able to see you in the hallways and talk to you in between classes. Lastly, to all of my classmates, thank you for all of the memories and for always being helpful and supportive. I will miss seeing all of you at school. Thanks again, Center Grove. I am very proud to say that I will forever be a Trojan.
Our next speaker is Calista Stafford. Calista's parents are Christy and Joe Stafford. Her honored guests are Mrs. Jeannie Schwartz from Middle School Central and Ms. Melissa Warner from the High School English Department. The publications trip to the National Student Journalism Convention in Washington, D.C. is one of Calista's top high school memories. Spending 4 days with great friends from pubs and of course her two favorite advisors, Ms. Warner and Mrs. Tedrow, were among her favorite memories. Calista Stafford.
Well, this is certainly not what any of us pictured when we dreamed about our last days at Center Grove. It's definitely not what I thought the end of these last 12 years would look like. Then again, most of these last few years aren't what I thought they'd look like. I, like so many of you and so many of our other classmates, have had some truly incredible experiences here. Flying to Washington, D.C. with 14 publication staff members, walking miles and miles through our nation's capital, and exploring the different monuments and museums after the National Student Journalism Convention. Experiencing the thrill of defeating our regional rivals in volleyball before falling to the soon-to-be state champions in the Final Four. Or staying on the field at Lucas Oil Stadium with a camera as the football team runs onto the field, the whole stadium erupting as we finally score a touchdown in the fourth quarter of this year's state finals. On the other hand, I, like so many others, have had to handle my fair share of adversity while at Center Grove, both in my personal life and while at school. Medical struggles in my family have taught me to be thankful for my mental and physical abilities and for my overall good health, a thing that many people don't have to learn until much later in life. My experience with athletics at Center Grove wasn't always smooth sailing either. Injury and unnecessary drama riddled my 4 years in the volleyball program. Nevertheless, it was still a great experience. I learned so much about myself and how I respond to adversity. It helped shape me into the person I am today. I'd like to think that everything I've learned these last few years has prepared me for what has happened in these last couple of months and is continuing to happen still. Adversity is a part of life. Yes, it sucks, but how we respond to it is what defines us as a person. It's okay to grieve for what could have been, but never let it erase all the great things that were. So, thank you to everyone here at Center Grove for helping me become the person I am today. Thank you, Dr. Henderson, for your continued leadership and for always being a student advocate. Thank you, Warner, for constantly telling me for 2 years to join pubs. I'm glad I did. You were right. Thank you, Mrs. Schwartz, for being one of the most genuine and caring teachers I have ever had the pleasure to learn from. You truly care about your students, and your students truly care about you. Thank you, Mr. Lawson, for being such a great teacher and always pushing us to be our best. In your class, I learned how to tell my little sister's story and make it personal. You encouraged me to find my voice in that story and all of my other writings, teaching me to be sure of myself and my ability. Most of all, you taught me to be an active and very confident participant, not only in class but in life. Thank you, Senor Gaff, for patiently teaching me Spanish for 4 years. You care about your students so much, and you take the time to learn about us as people, not just as students. After 4 years and many days of merienda miércoles, I'm really going to miss learning Spanish with you and all of my friendly friends. Thank you, Mr. Surface, for just being such a cool guy. You push us to do our best, but you also recognize when all we really need is a little break from our crazy lives. Thank you, Mr. Hagedorn, for always inspiring creativity and pushing us to approach each assignment and every aspect of life with an open mind. Thank you, Warner and Tedrow, for always being there for your students, as advocates, educators, and listeners, and even for the occasional reality check. Joining pubs was one of the best choices I have made in these 4 years. It brought me so many great friends, and the opportunities we have as publication staff members are unparalleled. But none of it would be the same if it weren't for the hard work and long hours that you both put into each and every day. I never thought that I would enjoy staying at school until midnight, but I was wrong. If it wasn't for the environment you both create, pushing your students to be problem solvers and leaders, I would not be the person I am today. Thank you to all of the amazing teachers I've had throughout high school and all the years leading up to it. And last but most certainly not least, thank you to my parents for always pushing me to never settle for anything less than my absolute best. You taught me from an early age what I was capable of and never let me accept anything else. Without your guidance, I wouldn't have the honor of speaking here today. Thank you.
Joshua Stephenson joins us as the next top 20 speaker. He is joined tonight by his parents, Dave and Melissa Stephenson. His faculty guests are Ms. Ashley Carney, formerly of Middle School Central, and Mr. John Moore from the high school math department. Josh noted his best high school memory as winning the Chairman's Award at the Robotics State Championship. Joshua Stephenson.
Hello, I'm Josh Stephenson, and next year I'm going to be attending Purdue for computer science. So I just wanted to take this time to thank all the people who have helped me throughout my time in high school and get me to where I am today. So first, I'd like to thank my family. You guys were always there for me, both through my highs and my lows, helping me stay on the right track and do what I needed to do. You guys gave me a wealth of opportunities, which I really appreciate because it gave me the opportunity to do as I wished and really find who I was. So you guys really encouraged me to try my hardest and do my best, which helped shape who I am today. So for that, I'm greatly appreciative. I'd also like to thank the Center Grove community and Center Grove schools for giving me a wealth of opportunities that I'll forever cherish. Coming from a small Catholic school, Center Grove had an almost overwhelming amount of opportunities for me. It gave me a lot of choices to try new things. It allowed me to join sports like swimming and track, which I enjoyed no matter how far behind I was. And it gave me the great opportunity to join other clubs like robotics. Robotics has been a major influence in my life and really helped me come into and discover all my passions, and has kind of helped guide me to be who I am today. I've had a great time in robotics, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to do it. Finally, I'd like to give a massive thanks to all my teachers. No matter what classes they taught, they're always kind and instructive, teaching me everything I needed to know. Going back to when I joined Center Grove, I genuinely can't think of an experience that hasn't been incredibly supportive and a great time in the classroom. Specifically, I'd like to give a shout out to some of the teachers that have especially impacted me. So Mr. Moore, Ms. Hensley, Ms. Carney, Ms. Erisman, Mr. Hibner. You guys did a whole lot for me and did a lot to support me and my friends throughout my time in your class. I'm greatly appreciative, and thanks for just being awesome. So when I think back to my entire school career, no one moment really stands out as the seminal moment, but a constant barrage of good times and memories that you guys, my teachers, my parents, my friends, my community, have made possible has created an overwhelming sense of joy that I will forever cherish. Thank you.
Getting to compete in downtown Indianapolis for the Business Professionals of America State Conference with his friends is what Luke Wiley listed as his favorite high school memory. His parents, Mark and Beth Wiley, as well as Mr. Doug Wooten, retiree from Sugar Grove Elementary, and Mr. Josh Surface from the high school English department, are his honored guests tonight. Luke Wiley.
Well, we've reached the end. Not necessarily the end, perhaps, but maybe the dawn of something new and the conclusion to an old season that has passed away. I think I speak for every single one of us, though, when I say that in all the years of longing, wishing for the time to move on to come, and foreseeing the future, that I never would have expected it to look like this. But in all this time, I think it can be so easy for us to constantly focus on ourselves and to become more inwardly focused in the time of catastrophe, when in fact, this is a time for gratitude. In fact, there are so many men and women who have given so much, poured out their life, and loved so unselfishly for us without having ever received the proper gratitude that they deserve, nor ever will receive that. Tonight is for them. 7 years ago, I entered into the 5th grade as an incredibly awkward, nerdy, and naive kid who was really getting ready to enter into that very clunky transition and peculiar time going into middle school, in which I'd be changing very much physically as well as mentally, and was completely unprepared without even knowing it. Enter Mr. Doug Wooten, my 5th grade teacher. Mr. Wooten for me has been one of those men whose impact on my life I did not fully comprehend until many years down the line. He was an exceptional guide and mentor as much as he was an expert in American history. At the time I realized he was trying to prepare us for the transitional season into middle school. However, it's only today that I recognized how much he was actually preparing us just for adulthood, and even become citizens in society. He's the type of man I would come to for wisdom now as I transition into manhood, and I count myself so exceedingly lucky to have had his influence without ever realizing how much I would come to cherish it. That brings me to another teacher who means very much to me. I count myself infinitely lucky to have been part of the last batch of 7th grade students that Mrs. Jeannie Schwartz ever taught. Her passion for her craft, unconditional kindness, commitment to a variety of teaching strategies to help her students learn, and overall welcoming demeanor made coming to her class a genuine joy every single day. You see, Jeannie was the type of teacher that most only wish they could be, one that can strike a legitimate joy for learning in her students. She created an environment in which every single student knew that they were genuinely loved, not just from the words that were spoken or expectations of the class, but rather from the little actions that she would take every single day that proved it. Personally, I was walking through one of the most difficult times of my life when I was in her class. I was wrestling with extremely dark desires to take my own life, which no one knew about at the time. Her classroom and her smiling demeanor just created a refuge and a place of safety for me in that time that helped me to keep trudging through. Therefore, I'll be forever grateful for the impact that Mrs. Schwartz had on my life. As a phenomenal language teacher, motivator to help me pursue my dreams, and just a stable source of kindness in the midst of depression. Thank you, Mrs. Schwartz. And thirdly, as I move into high school, I would be remiss not to add to this list my extreme gratitude that I have towards Mr. Joshua Surface. You see, as I entered into Mr. Surface's class at the beginning of the year, I was really unsure, it being an AP literature class, what I might come to expect. You see, literature had always been one of my favorite subjects, but in recent years I had grown sort of jaded towards the subject from the way it was assessed and handled in the school system. I can only say that Mr. Surface reinvigorated this passion and this love for literature by his excellent teaching style and his aptness for discussion. The level of respect and consideration that he gives to every student in his class is simply unprecedented amongst teachers. And his compassion to always listen to the perspective of those who disagree with him will surely stand as a model of empathy and respect of others that I will wish to mirror in my own life. Always willing to be flexible and always willing to give himself extra work for the sake of helping students, Mr. Surface treats all of his students with the respect of a fellow adult, with no air of prestigious superiority. To him, I am so thankful, just for creating such a unique and safe environment to learn, to grow, and to learn more about how to treat others. Thank you so much, Mr. Surface. Your work has not gone unnoticed. These 3 teachers have been some of the most impactful in my life, but my acknowledgments would be incomplete if I did not recognize the most loving, compassionate, patient, kind, and truly amazing teachers that I've ever had. My parents. Whether it was by my side as I took my first step, along the sidelines of every single soccer game, beside my bed as I wrestled through my darkest moments, or greeting me with an embrace after I wrecked their car, but instead I deserved condemnation. Mark and Beth Wiley have been the most wonderful, excellent parents I could have ever asked for or ever wanted. To them I owe nearly everything, and I love them so immensely. And most importantly, they introduced me to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and whom my entire life is centered around, and who transformed my heart. To them I am so thankful to have as parents. I love you, Mom and Dad. And with this, I just want to challenge us students in the room, myself included. Big shot, top 20. Well, know this. All this is all meaningless. Ultimately, what's truly important, what's truly going to make a difference, what truly means something, is not the grades that we earn in high school, college, or that career-defining success that you'll have later in life. It's our impact on others. So I challenge all of us. Love others unconditionally, sacrificially, and unselfishly. They did. In fact, everyone we're honoring here tonight did. Loving others without the desire to get something in return. Loving sacrificially, even if it's exhausting. Because they did.
Zane York is joined tonight by his parents, Bill and Kendra York. Mr. John Hibner from Middle School Central and Mr. Adam Gapp from the High School World Language Department are his guests this evening.
Winning the MIC championship in soccer against Lawrence North in 2019 is one of the memories that is most special. Zane, yours.
First, I'd like to thank the CG admin and the whole Center Grove High School for putting on this virtual celebration. It's not as glamorous as it would be in the school, but I thank you for recognizing these 20 students and celebrating their achievements. I'd like to also thank my family, parents, siblings, grandparents, and many other family members and friends that have been able to motivate me through the last 4 years. This journey has been a difficult one. I don't think anybody can deny that, but it would be near impossible without your support. And for that, I thank you. I'd also like to thank the backbone of education, which are the teachers. All teachers I was blessed to learn from helped me along the way, and I wish to recognize each and every one of you. Yes, I picked a few special ones to recognize here at this ceremony, but all teachers along the way helped to support me, and I'd like to recognize each and every one of them. These teachers did much more than simply teach me, which is the job they signed up for. They impacted my lives in very specific ways that will be remembered for years and years to come. Another group that deserves much more recognition than they are given is the athletic office. Mr. Zwitt and all others in the office make a large part of my high school experience possible. As I look back on these last 4 years, the most memorable times will be times I spent with my teammates out on the soccer fields. The athletic office allows these memories to be made through their contributions, and for that, I'd like to recognize and thank them. Also, a group that deserves equal recognition is my coaches. Coaches McLaughlin, Trotter, and Warner. And all the hot hours they spent on that hot turf through the summer. I'd like to thank them for those hours they put in to making me a better athlete and a better human. I think they succeeded. Finally, I'd like to recognize the 20 students here at this celebration. I'm lucky enough to have a memory with each and every one of you, and lucky enough to be able to call you all friends. And for that, I thank you.
For our seniors, graduation does not mean an end to their connection with Center Grove, but instead taking on a different role. On that note, I would like to introduce Jennifer Rake, Executive Director of the Center Grove Education Foundation, to explain further what that new role can look like.
The Center Grove Education Foundation is pleased to partner with Center Grove High School as the award sponsor for this year's Top 20 banquet. We share in the belief that every student should have an exceptional educational experience, and you have done exactly that. Congratulations to the top 20 seniors and their families, and thank you to the teachers and administrators who have provided guidance and inspiration throughout their academic journeys. We're excited to see what the future holds for you as you join the ranks of Center Grove alumni.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join with us in celebrating the academic successes of the class of 2020's top 20 students. We realize that we all would have preferred to be together this evening, sharing a meal and fellowship as we celebrate these outstanding young adults. However, we do appreciate you joining us virtually. We know that you join with us in wishing them every success in life as they head off to make their mark on their universities and their communities. Thank you again, and have a nice evening.